All right, everybody. I am here with John Faust, my co pilot and co host of the Old Souls Sage Advice Network. And we haven't really worked on a lot of some of the other media channels for the podcast because we were wrangling this huge Facebook group and we got it up to 500,000 members. And someone crashed the boat, right, John?
Yeah, it actually kind of happened to us twice, and we got it back the first time, but the second time was a little more serious because Mark got put in timeout for 90 days. Someone took over the site, and I am a big Facebook fan. However, their process for dealing with things like this is the worst. You have no recourse. How I got booted out, I lost my account. How I got it back, I still to this day do not understand. But I spent a day and a half of I don't even know. I don't even know how I did it. And then the next thing I know, it was under review, and I got it back. And people would say, "That's a miracle. How the hell did you get that back?" And I'm like, probably like everything in life, I was persistent. I don't actually understand what I did, but Facebook just, they just don't give you explanations, and they don't give you an honest attempt to state your case and get back. So,
Well, and
we,
it's a lot of it is speculation. However, I don't think that Facebook is a wise place for anyone to put anything that is community related on because it'll go away. They don't like what you're saying. They don't like what you can say, or I happen to think it has something to do with the election, them not wanting somebody to talk to 500,000 people, afraid that we're going to say, vote for this person or vote for that person, especially since we made such huge, you know, efforts to keep it non-political. But we've got a huge amount of, you know, people that were helping us with that big group, and now they're going to start something on their own, and we'll give them podcast stuff. We'll still complete our mission, which
yep.
was and still is to help seniors and boomers have a less lonely life. And if our crew over there can run it on their own and then support us that way, I'm all for that. I think it's awesome.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, at first, I was not overly crazy with the concept, um, but they are good people. And we had already kind of made it known that we weren't wild about necessarily going back on to Facebook. And I don't want to give away their plan, but they kind of have a plan, and it's a legit one, and they did a good job for us. And so we'll just find a way to for all of us to help each other, which is kind of the ultimate goal. And can I backtrack on one thing? The
Sure.
thing about the Facebook and why we got my Mark and I are great friends, and obviously everybody has their own opinion. I don't see that side, the political side of it. Here's what I do see is that Mark would get these and I would get these where they're removing content. Hey, we removed this content.
Right.
Well, you know what? When you got 600,000 members, there's a lot of content. that gets removed. We removed a lot of content. And because they're not looking at Mark and myself, they're not looking at us as individuals. All they're seeing is we've taken out all of this content. And you know what? You're just not adhering to our guidelines. Regardless how much good we were doing, you can't stop people from posting something. And that's kind of, whatever the reason is, we lost it. So anyway, that's that. That's my rant.
Well, and then again, we'll never know because they won't tell us.
Right. Exactly.
You know? And whatever it is, you know, you and I, as old souls responsible for this network, we need to go work somewhere else. You know, we need to work on the YouTube channel. We need to work on the website. We need to work on, you know, the drip email campaign. That we need to work on all the other sources of media, and we'll let Jen and company do their thing, and we'll support them by giving them content.
Yeah,
like we were, because you and I really weren't all that excited about being involved in the day-to-day Facebook group anyway. You know, and people would reach out to me, and I would try to help the kids that were in the background doing their thing, but I didn't ever want to be a moderator or an admin anyway.
I agree.
Started the thing, and you know, I don't want to take 5 to 10 hours of my time that I don't have much of a week to build up something, and then when it gets going, then
yeah,
they take it away, and it's disheartening.
It is, and it's like many things in life. You know, I still will get pissed or disappointed or whatever, and I'll allow myself a day or so to be pissed until I kind of get it in perspective. Then once I get it in perspective, it's like, well, there you go. I'm very proud for what we did. It's gone. So we journey forward.
Well, and you know, that means that, you know, we've got other things that we can depend on.
Yep.
Education wise, and we can redo all that.
You know, go ahead.
Every morning that I get up, you know, I say, God, who can I help today? And then I try to listen, and I try to go and help somebody, and the karma reaches back around, and I'm getting lots of help that I need right now, I think, because of that. And the thing that my wife and I do is we take a look at everything that's happening, and we say, you know, if it goes easy, that's blessed by God, and continue doing that. And if it becomes difficult, that means that you're headed down the wrong road, and God's saying, hey, go somewhere else. And so I look at that thing and I think, okay, you know, maybe that's not for me. I should be working on something else. And I change focus. And that's what's happening here. You know, we had this big thing going on, and God said no, for whatever reason.
Yep.
God said no. And Mark and John, you work on something else, and, you know, do your mission a different way. And I'm comfortable with that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And I am as well. And again, our original goal is to try to help people as best we can. And, you know, Mark and I were talking before we came on air, and I'm getting ready to undergo sometime here in the next near future major shoulder surgery, and it's going to be a little bit of a setback. And I happen to be with some people, and I was talking about some of the hardships, and that, you know, I was having to get a chair for my tub so I could sit down to shower, and one thing led to another. And then she tells me about this program called HELP, and it's Hospital Equipment Lending Program. And it's a volunteer organization. I'm sure somebody gets paid somewhere, but mostly volunteers. And they have all of these things available for seniors, a walker, a chair for the tub, a whatever you can think of, they have it and they lend it out at no charge. So when you're done with it, take it back.
And John, why don't you share with the listeners a little bit about what you're going through so that they can kind of identify with we'll use your example and then my example. You know, I'm in kidney failure and I had to go through a lot of learning curves when I went to end stage 5 kidney failure, and it knocked me down all the way. And I had to start looking for resources, and I've been independent my whole life. You know,
Yep.
I haven't even had a job since 1994. You know, I had my own company. I was taking care of my employees and I was taking care of myself that way. And if you've ever owned a business, you know how that is. You know, you have to make sure that you're covered on insurance and that your employees are taken care of. And, you know, I did all that, you know, for a lot of years. I gave away a computer a day for 25 years to needy people. We were involved in a lot of things. And it's hard to shift from that kind of where you're taking care of yourself and a lot of other people, and then all of a sudden you need help. And I got knocked down where, you know, I had 2 or 3 hours a day that I wasn't even awake, and I'm fighting my way back to about 50%. And I've had to reach out for some help, and you know,
And that's humbling.
it's not easy to do. Yeah, it's not
humbling.
easy to do. And the only thing I can figure out while I'm taking this help from other people, I'm trying to get stronger so that I can have, you know, a 9th round in life, you know. But you've got to let some people help you, and you can't let your ego get in the way of it, or you know, you've got to, you know, a lot of boomers, especially males of our age, are stubborn. You know, they don't go to the doctor like they should. And it exasperates their problems, where if they would have gotten in sooner, you know, it would help them. You know, and that's one of the things I'm trying to do to battle what I'm going through on my situation is I keep regular doctor's appointments, you know, and I go and do the things that they tell me to do so that hopefully I get my transplant and I can move, you know, to the next stage, you know. And that's, you know, why I've got all the skin problems. It's end stage kidney failure, psoriasis, and it's a thing that I got to go do treatments at the dermatologist 3 times a week. I mean, there's a lot to get knocked down, and you have got to continue to fight every inch, you know.
Well, and this is one of my mantras in life is you have to learn to adapt. You just do. Things don't stay the same. And if you cannot learn to adapt, your life is going to be a lot more miserable than it really should be. And my short version of my story, and it's just the shortest I can make it, I had polio when I was 6 months old. I've had a great life for well, I still do, but I've had a great
life. Absolutely, John.
Yeah, I've had a great life for the vast majority of my life. I was in athletics. I've done a lot of different things. In 2010, I was diagnosed with post-polio syndrome, which polio is a virus. So it kind of came back. So my left leg was weak but it was working. And so my lower back, my hip, and my leg continued to get weaker. So then I got a brace, but my leg was too weak for the brace. So then I got on crutches. So I used crutches. I used the brace. I, excuse me, I still journey around. And then a few weeks back, something happened, and I'm right-handed. In my right shoulder, you have 4 tendons. Well, I retore. I had rotator cuff surgery at one point. I retore the one I had fixed. I partially tore 2 others. The 4th one really didn't do anything, so it didn't make any difference. So now I'm going to have shoulder surgery, which is going to present some problems I've never had. I'm on crutches. I got a bad left leg. Now my right shoulder is going to be operated on. And so, I will figure it out. But it's definitely, it's going to make life a little more interesting than it should be for a few weeks. And you know what? And I will figure it out. But that's what you have to do, is you have to figure out your situation. You got to figure out how can you make it better. And then you need to deal with it. That's what Mark's doing, and that's what I'm trying to do. And I'm still wrapping my head around resources and ways to make it work after the shoulder surgery, and I will. So that's kind of my story.
And I think, as you and I get together, we have some more podcasts. We're going to go through a journey of monetizing some things so that we can kind of show some of the older folks, what they can do and lead by our example, because that is something that happens.
Yeah.
You get Social Security and you get Medicare, and you try to deal with what you're doing money wise. But as we go into this next stage, I think that a lot of help that we're going to need to give our boomer friends are how to navigate some of these things that are financial, because, like John said, hey, we will get through it. Yeah, that's a great thing to say until you run out of money. Right. And we don't have enough money to keep the heat on, or you're doing some of this other stuff. That's contentious. That hurts, So I think, especially where John lives. John, you're in Colorado, and the cost of living in Colorado has just boomed out of control. And, I think with the inflation, that's going to affect our boomers and our seniors hugely as it continues to go out of control. And I think we can be a resource for, what to do, and creatively figure out how we can bring more finances in for folks and battle that. Because in the last, 3 to 5 years, ever since the pandemic happened and they put all that money in there, we've had massive inflation, and a Big Mac's gone from, $1.99 to $4.99, and there's no getting around that. Gas is more expensive and all this other stuff. And we're managing. But I would like to deliver a forum, which I was hoping would be our baby boomer group, but that tail started wagging the dog. But I want to have an audience participation forum for all of our people to say, hey, here's my situation. What should I do? And, if you're facing homelessness, and John, you said that, you know, you've come close to really being in a financial battle because of things that happened to you in your life. I've been there. You know, I went from making $150,000 a year in corporate America to starting my own business. And I went down to zero. And then three months after that, I paid myself $25,000 a year and back up from there, you know, and it's scary, you know, and people need advice. You and I were talking about the stock market and talking about your retirement account and what I'm doing and how to take out minimum, you know, distributions. I would like to be a resource on our show to help people figure out what they need to do.
Hey, Mark, hold that thought. Keep that thought. I need to deal with something for 2 seconds, and I'll be right back.
Yeah, go ahead.
So it's you.
I,
So
as
you
John,
continue on. Okay.
as John deals with whatever he's dealing with, and he just got some snow there, so he may be greeting the shovelers or whatever. But money is a big deal, you know, and just having somebody answer some questions for you sometimes is all it needs. I mean, if you don't understand what's going on, or you don't know if there's a program available, you know, and so you know, just having somebody cover that topic is huge, just to help, you know, somebody get more I'm working on my X login. It's trying to find out if I'm a robot or not.
Okay, I'm back.
All right. I got distracted by trying to sign into my X account.
Which I am in the process of setting up an account.
On X?
Yeah, I tried to do it the other day, and there were technical difficulties, and it booted me out twice, and so I just put it to the side. I've never been a Twitter guy, so this will be a little different.
Well, and you know, I think anything that allows us to establish a group for the show is what we want. And that is the resource that we can give, you know, to our listeners is, hey, here's what we're dealing with. You know, who else is dealing with this? And we'll try to get them an answer and use our platform to say, hey, how do I get my shower chair? Just like what you're going through.
Right.
You know, and if we could talk about that kind of stuff, you know, we can really help some people, which is our overriding
I didn't get
mission.
that. Could you try again?
What the hell?
Who's talking to you?
My phone. So that's what I'm going to do. That's our long range mission, and you know, I think things are going to get rough and willy soon.
Well, and I think at some point, probably the most basic question that people have as they get older is they don't know how to navigate and who to trust when it comes to Medicare.
And it's confusing.
Yep.
I just went through all that.
Yeah, it's very confusing. I mean, I know, and Mark and I were talking about this before we came on air. I mean, I'm going to have to delve more into it because I believe there are things there that will allow me to get a little bit of help for the 2 or 3 weeks that I'm kind of struggling with the shoulder surgery and the crutches and all of that. And it's in there. I just got to figure out where is it and how do I activate it. And I think I'm more on top of some of this stuff than most, and I'm not on top of it. So there's a lot of people that they know nothing. And so hopefully as time goes, we can form a relationship with someone who can answer some of these basic questions and get people headed down the right road and let them know about what the pitfalls are and who not to deal with. And just, you know, it would be good to hear this information from a neutral party that's not looking to make money off of them, so they can better deal with other people.
Well, not only that, if you can hear different perspectives,
Right.
you know, and maybe one thing is good for one set of person, and maybe somebody else picks something else, you know, and there's not necessarily a wrong answer, you know, because I know a buddy of mine was a policeman for Denver, in shape, bicycling all the time. When he, you know, turned 65 and got all his stuff, he didn't get any supplements because he didn't need to go to the doctor all the time. And that was right for him, and Medicare is free to him. For me, that's not the case. I have lots of medications. I have lots of health problems. When I finally go on the thing, I'm going to get the G plan. So I have everything covered. It's more expensive, you know, to do that each month, but I'm going to need that.
And that is an exceptionally important topic. When I went over, I have a supplemental plan, but I don't pay anything. And now I kind of had some of these things that were coming up, and I reached out to a friend to ask. I said, so should I move to one where I pay? And he's like, absolutely not. He goes, because when you first go in, you're grandfathered in to a certain level. But if at some stage you decide you want to move and pay more on another level, they will reevaluate your situation.
Right.
And if they look at John Faust and they go, yo, John has polio. He has this. Well, you know what? I will not only pay, I will pay much more because I'm not a good risk. So I'm going to say,
and honestly, that's the fault of our healthcare system in general. This, you know, we need to be covering everybody. And I'll tell you, this Obamacare or whatever it is was a godsend, because if you were just working for a company who was giving you health care and then you got fired and you couldn't get hired by a company right away or ever, because there's ageism in hiring. And if you get over 50 years old, they don't want you anymore. So now I can't get health coverage. I can't buy health coverage. I mean, that's a disaster. People just get ruined.
And Mark, you know that. And I had a friend that is a double A amputee, whatever, who had reads some of what I do on Facebook and reached out to me privately, and he made that comment about Obamacare, and he goes, "Yeah, the biggest part was I could just be totally denied, period, because I had a disability." And the good news, so now people who are disabled have access to insurance. They're probably still paying more, but they at least have access to it. And that doesn't really affect the day-to-day person with no disability or wherever they are in life. And so people may be paying a little more, but there's a lot of people out there that it was a godsend. And it's not perfect. And it's not perfect right now. And hopefully, you work on something.
Well, and I think that's where we have to get to. We just had an election, and it was combative, and nobody is happy. That's the way it goes. Either way it happened. Nobody would be happy.
That's correct. Nobody was happy 4 years ago.
Yeah, absolutely. And you and I have a tendency to not talk about the politics just because we don't want our media to end up being a fight. And
Correct.
John, you're in a certain space and I'm in a certain space,
right.
But we're together on certain things. And I think as you and I do our media, we'll continue with our quest, and our Facebook group, we said, look, no political posts. And we tried to maintain that hard line on our group. And I think that we want to do that on all of our media.
Correct.
I think when you and I are having a discussion, we can talk about some of the things because they affect the people's lives. So we can say, hey, this is what's happening to you. This is the best thing to do with it, and not say, oh, this is my politics, or this is, it's just a factor. If it's raining outside, get an umbrella, and that's not one way or the other. That's just stay dry, and that's the guidance that we're going to give people with everything that's going on. And, I think that our senior citizens deserve coverage.
Yep.
I mean, and whenever I look at, somebody's 65 or 70 years old and they're a Walmart greeter, nobody does that job because they need something to do. They do that job because they are financially comfortable to do that. I go in the casino to play poker, and there's a 70-year-old guy that is cleaning out trash cans, wearing the little Caesars uniform, cleaning out trash cans. And it just breaks my heart, and a lot of people just ignore what they're doing. They don't have the right amount of money in their 401k. They didn't start it, when they needed to. And, it's very sad.
Yep. Well, we should probably start to wrap this up because we kind of have a 25, 35 minute time limit so we don't bore people completely to death.
Yeah, I agree.
But hopefully today, and we're well aware that we kind of ramble and we do what we do, and that is what we do. and we try to hit important topics, and we really are attempting to do good things. So hopefully somewhere in all of this conversation, something is being said that will be of value.
Exactly.
And I don't know now how exactly people can reach back out to us.
And I think I'll establish that as my health allows. We'll have a Discord channel. We'll be on X. We'll be doing all the medias, and we'll just be providing that content and that outreach for the feedback. And we'll be doing some Facebook as well, but our other team is going to be handling that. I've got little chapped feelings about what they did, so I'm just kind of staying away from Facebook for right now. And hopefully John and I are going to be able to get together more often and have an establish a regular time for the show to be feeding that stuff for you guys. So we're back, and I'm dealing with health issues. John's dealing with health issues, and we're going to provide the content that we want to provide. And if you like it and you want to follow us, look for us on YouTube. We're going to be getting organized there and doing some other things. So, we're not going away, and we have a mission to help senior citizens and boomers and people that, are going through the things that John and I are going through. We're here for you guys, and we're going to reflect on what we're doing and what we're facing and how we're dealing with it, and yada, yada, yada.
Yep.
So with that, John.
Good job. Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Mark.